ECU? Do you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors on this Football Friday. August 23rd, week 0 is upon us. We have live college football games tomorrow, real college football games that count. We're going to talk about that and more. We are going to predict the complete 12-team playoff field, Philip Pilkington and I. Philip producing, as always. We are live on 94.3 The Game, live on YouTube, Facebook, and we're live on X as well, the Hoist the Colors Twitter account. So drop your comments on any of those platforms. We'll get through them. And really excited because, yeah, it's not the greatest schedule, but hey, it's real football. And Philip, we are 8 days away from East Carolina football. We're really 8 days away from the whole thing starting, but I'm excited.
I am too, and like you said, it's not the greatest schedule, but you do have a Power 5 conference matchup that's supposed to be decently competitive, and then you have an FCS team playing an FBS team in which the FCS team is favored. So I think the balance of those two things is something you could at least look forward to in what is usually a kind of a lame slate in week 0.
So we made our picks yesterday with Bobby Harward. He will be on every Friday this year. It is a football Friday. We'll have to figure out sometime we can get Joey Football back on the show, and we're looking at a way to do that. Maybe we're going to incorporate him on Mondays, Philip. I know you've been in contact with him.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's good. He's getting his feet wet in his new job, so still trying to get it all figured out. He's been there a couple weeks, but he's enjoying it. And the unfortunate thing for our show is he's available at 5 o'clock, and he's going to be on the Patrick Johnson Show every Tuesday. He's going to be on the Patrick Johnson Show today. I will be guest hosting that, me and Dom, and then he yeah, but it's kind of tough to get him on in the noon hour. So maybe we'll get him on for a segment or two sometime throughout. But, sometimes he has meetings and stuff pop up. So, how the life of a desk job. Well, some people know the life of a desk job is. We don't because we get paid to talk about sports. So
yeah, no idea what a desk job is like. But, hey, here we are doing our thing, talking sports at the noon hour. Hope you're tuned in. All right, so here's what we got to do today. I'll tell you what, before I run down what we're going to do on the football front, let's give a shout-out to ECU Soccer. The women's soccer team is 2-0. They knock off UNC Greensboro last night, 2-1. Got down 1-0. I was a little worried. I made my first ever appearance inside Johnson Stadium. First ever. The Pirates are 1-0 with me in attendance. Now, I did have to leave at halftime. Philip, we saw you there. I brought the family. It was it's a lot to bring a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old to a soccer game. And I basically had to hold my 1.5-year-old daughter the whole time. But I enjoyed the game, and I'm looking forward to making more appearances.
Yeah, it was good to see you out there. Appreciate you letting me come and hang out with the family and annoy the heck out of you while your kids were climbing all over you guys. But
not as annoying as the vuvuzelas.
Oh, my goodness. It's interesting. When those came out for the World Cup, whatever year it was when it was in South Africa, all the major American sports leagues came out and banned them, like the minute the World Cup started. Like, you can't have those. I thought the NCAA did the same, but it's clear they did not, or at least if they did, they didn't do it for soccer because those were annoying. But, hey, shout out that there's a real student section. It's like a soccer section. They got drums and the vuvuzelas and flags. I think they have a flag of – I know there are a lot of different countries' flags, so I think they have a flag of each – country that is represented on our roster, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I really think that the Scallywags, the student section, they do a phenomenal job. So shout out to them. They bring the energy. And the crowd was solid last night. Again, ECU beats UNC Greensboro 2-1. They're 2-0. They have wins over NC State and UNCG, so they're off to a good start as far as winning state championship, so to speak. But, yeah, tough schedule ahead. They do play Campbell, another Sunday game at home, 7 o'clock, and then they host Coastal Carolina Thursday, August 29th, as a little appetizer heading into the home opener for the football team. So, speaking of a different type of football. All right, so really enjoyed that. And I told Gary Higgins my plan was to make it out to a few games this year. I already got one under the belt, so I'm good on my word, Coach Higgins. We'll keep you updated with soccer. All right, today we're talking a lot of American football with college football kicking off. So we've done all of our Group of 5 league previews. Now we're going to do the Power 4. I guess we're calling it the Power 4, Philip. Is that the official moniker now? Power 4?
I mean, because the top 4 conference champions get 1 through 4, but it doesn't have to be from these conferences. I think the whole power thing might be dead when you really think about it. I don't know if it officially exists anymore.
So people still call it the Power 4, but I agree. It's more like the Power 2, the middle 2, and then the other 5 almost.
Yeah.
12-team playoff. And as much as I hate all the movement in these gigantic leagues, there are going to be some phenomenal games this year. So I'll tell you what, we're going to talk ECU's path to the playoff. There is a path to the playoff now. We'll do that at the end of the show when we do our full 12-team bracket. Philip and I each have our picks. We'll talk about what ECU needs to do to make the playoff. But we're going to preview each league first and pick a champion. We've been doing this for each league, and we're going to dive right in. That way we have plenty of time to discuss the entire college football season. We're going to start with the SEC. We've been doing different categories for each league. Player that has our attention, last place, random team, dark horse title contender, conference championship game. We're going to do all that for each of the Power 4 leagues. And the SEC is a 16-team league, obviously adding Texas and Oklahoma this year. Just before we dive into the categories here, Philip, it's the best conference in college football. I don't know. I mean, as much as I hate realignment, I will say that I'm going to watch a lot of these SEC games.
Yeah, I am too. It's definitely it's almost like video game-esque, something you'd go and create when you were a kid, when you could do the custom conferences. The hard part about this was picking a conference championship winner and loser, because at the end of the day, there's probably going to be one team go undefeated, and there's probably going to be like 4 teams with 1 loss, because half these teams don't play each other, and there's no divisions anymore. So it makes it very hard to predict, but it makes it very fun to spectate.
All right, let's dive into it. We'll hit our categories. The player that has your attention from the SEC. There's plenty of them to choose from.
Yeah, player to watch. Oh, I have Trey Harris, Ole Miss wide receiver. He was formerly at Louisiana Tech. This is his second year as a member of the Rebels, but over the last 2 seasons, 16% of the balls he has caught has been a touchdown. He's got 18 total touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. He's 6'3", but he plays bigger than he is. He's great in jump ball situations, and he will definitely be Jackson Dart's most reliable target in tough situations.
All right, I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name, but the quarterback for Tennessee, Nico I. He's the, I think it starts with the I, his last name. Either way, he's the former number 1 quarterback, 5-star recruit. They paid a boatload of money to get him there. Josh Heupel's offense, this is his first year as the full-time starter. He's got absolute cannon for an arm, all the physical skills you want. And basically, if he's as good as what he was projected as coming out of high school, he could lead Tennessee to the playoff. And I'm not willing to make that bet quite yet, but really looking forward to seeing what Nico does in his first year as Tennessee's starting quarterback. They play NC State, by the way, second week of the season in Charlotte. All right, last place team. I think we may both agree on this one. Philip.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vanderbilt. Clark Lee, the head coach there. That's the thing. If you're Vanderbilt, like, what is your goal? To win 2 SEC games a year? Because, like, they're going to be underdogs in every single SEC game for probably the rest of life.
Your hope is to recruit Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter and just be good at baseball, and then, like, simulate through football season until baseball gets here. That's your goal.
Vanderbilt opens with Virginia Tech, Alcorn State, Georgia State, and then their SEC schedule: Missouri, Alabama, at Kentucky, Texas at home, at Auburn, South Carolina at home, at LSU, Tennessee.
Wow, yeah. That is a tough schedule. They have one of the toughest schedules.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right, random team in the SEC you're looking forward to following.
Texas A&M. It's going to be interesting to see what Mike Elko can do there after he turned around Duke as quick as he did. Can he do the same in College Station?
I'm going to go with Hugh Freeze in Auburn. They have 17 returning starters. Got 6 wins last year. Should have beat Alabama. And, Auburn, I just feel like they're randomly good, and this might be one of those years. So I'm going to go with Auburn. Dark horse title contender from the SEC, Philip.
I got LSU. I think they're a solid team. They do not play Texas or Georgia, and they get Bama at home. So this is kind of one of those things where the schedule is favorable for them. They're already a solid team, and if everybody else beats each other up and they have some confidence going in the championship game, you never know what will happen.
I'm going to go with the Missouri Tigers. I mean, you could almost pick any team besides Vanderbilt as a dark horse title contender in this league and maybe a few others. Missouri kind of expected to be down this year after 11 wins last season, but they do return 9 players offensively, including quarterback Brady Cook. We know how good Jake Garcia is. He was third string there last year, so of course they must be pretty good. And they have a manageable schedule. They do go to A&M and Alabama, but they get Oklahoma at home. They get Auburn at home. They also avoid some of the top teams in the league. They don't have to play Georgia. So I just feel like Missouri has a chance to win the title. Keep an eye on the Tigers. All right, next category here, our conference title game. Who do you have coming out of the gauntlet of the SEC?
I've got Georgia and Texas in the championship game.
I've got Georgia, and I've got the Ole Miss Rebels making the SEC championship game. Ole Miss, they play Georgia at home. They do have to go to LSU, which is tricky. I think if they win one of those games, and I do think they beat Georgia during the regular season at home on November 9th. Give me the Rebels, the Fighting Lane Kiffins, with 20 returning starters to make the SEC title game.
All right, I got Georgia as my victor. How about you?
I do have Georgia winning the SEC. I'll go ahead and give it a preview, though. I have 4 teams from the SEC making the playoff. We'll get into.
I bet we have 3 of the same, and then you probably have Ole Miss, and then I don't have Ole Miss.
I have a surprise team left out.
You have
I'll
a
just say that.
surprise team. All right.
We'll see. We'll get into that later. All right, let's go ahead and do Big Ten. We're going to knock out our Big Ten preview.
Should we hear from our favorite Big Ten coach first?
Hold that thought for 1 second.
All right.
I'll cue it up. You have that ready to play?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So we're definitely going to hear from him. I'm glad you mentioned it because I definitely would have forgot.
You would have.
All right, Big Ten, 18 teams, Philip. How are we feeling about an 18-team league?
There are more teams in the Big Ten Conference than there are in any conference or league in major American sports. That is crazy, and you have a smaller slate. I do not know how they are going to get to the championship game. There are going to be 3 teams undefeated probably at the end of the year. There's probably some way that it works out. Not saying that none of the good teams have to play each other because they all do, but that's just wonky to me. And yeah, I don't know. They should almost do like 2 sub-conferences and then just have the winners play each other, but no like cross-conference playing or something. I don't know. This is crazy.
Yeah, there's just a lot happening here in the Big Ten. It was almost kind of tough to digest. All right, let's dive into it. Player that has your attention. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Dylan Gabriel. Obviously started at UCF, was at Oklahoma last year. He only has to start 13 career games at Oregon this season to pass Bo Nix for most starts all time. And a lot of people have Oregon in the playoff, but we're going to see how Dylan Gabriel does in the Big Ten.
I'm going with Michigan running back Donovan Edwards. Obviously was kind of hyped up last season. Had a down year compared to running mate Blake Corum. Only had 511 rushing yards, did have 5 scores. But with Blake Corum gone, I think Edwards is going to have a huge year. He's also nasty on the sticks on EA Sports College Football 25. So check that out. You can watch him play as himself on a video in the preseason. He was really good. All right, last place team. Who do you got, Philip?
I thought UCLA was bad last year, and clearly from this cut we're about to hear, Deshaun Foster has no idea what's going on. I got the Bruins finishing last.
Let's hear from our last place coach. It is my pick as well.
How you guys doing? I'm happy to be here. Glad to be a part of this great conference. Finally putting 2 great emblems together, UCLA and the Big Ten. We're a school that's won, 123 championships, so this fits us being right in this conference. Football-wise, we're just excited. You know, I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA. It's us and USC. I'm just basically excited, really. That's it. Any questions?
Oh, man. That'll never get old. I could listen to that for an hour straight. Deshaun Foster, the new head coach at UCLA. Of course, Chip Kelly moving on. So UCLA's not bad. They went 8-5 last year, but the schedule and the move to the Big Ten, they start with Indiana at home, which should be a win, but they go to LSU, Oregon, and Penn State as their next 3 conference games. They also go to Rutgers, at Nebraska, at Washington, USC, Iowa, They face a gauntlet of a schedule. And after hearing that, Phillip, there's no way Deshaun Foster knows what he's doing.
Yeah, they were better than I thought last year. I knew they took a little bit of a step back after DTR graduated, and obviously went on to play for the Browns. But yeah, it's rough. He claims he seems to not know what he's doing. However, he has been the running backs coach there for a while, and he did score a touchdown in the Super Bowl for the Carolina Panthers. Just want to throw that out there. So he knows a little bit about football, but yeah, I don't know. That just doesn't sound like there's much chemistry probably going on in the locker room if that's all the coach can say.
He had one of the more epic runs in Panthers history, right?
Yeah.
Was that against the Eagles? Where
Yeah,
he had that
it was
crazy
against the Eagles
Yeah.
on the NFC Championship game, yeah.
Yeah, good running back. We'll see if he's a good coach. Certainly not a good public speaker based upon that clip. All right, random team you're looking forward to watching from the Big Ten. There's plenty of them.
It kills me to say this because I hate the team and I can't stand the head coach, but I'm going to go with the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. Second year under Matt Rule. If you look at his jump in win totals from first to second year to previous programs, at Temple he went up 4 wins, and at Baylor he went up 6 wins from year 1 to year 2. They were 5-7 a year ago. We're going to see how the Cornhuskers do.
I'm going to go with the Washington Huskies. They hired Jed Fish as coach, but they're coming off a really good year. And I kind of got into the Washington bandwagon last year as a Seattle Mariners fan just to have another team to root for. But returning 2 offensive starters and 4 defensive starters, they were basically gutted. We'll see how they respond their first year in the Big Ten. I'm just interested to see how it goes. I don't think they'll be great, but I'm interested to see to follow them, I should say. All right, dark horse title contender. Who's your pick from the Big Ten?
If there's a championship on the line, you always have to consider Lincoln Riley to be in the conversation. They're not really. I think they're projected to finish 5th or 6th, so I'm going to go with the Trojans.
This is disgusting for me to say, and I did want to pick USC. I'm going to say the Iowa Hawkeyes. You know, they do win.
Score.
Yeah, I know, but they win 9-10 games every year with the worst offense in the history of football. They finally made an OC change. I don't like Kirk Ferentz. I don't like Iowa. I don't like anything about them. But their schedule is they play Ohio State on the road, and outside of that, I mean, they're going to be favored in every Big Ten game. They get Washington at home.
Yeah, but they still have to win the championship game over Penn State or Ohio State or.
But they don't. They always make it, and then they always lose. So
Yeah.
they're my dark horse title contender. No divisions this year, but they do play almost a lot of the teams from their old division, which is weak.
Hey man, they can't score, and their coach just got suspended for illegally recruiting a quarterback.
That is kind of sad, isn't it?
It's a little ironic.
Cade McNamara, their starting quarterback, doesn't give me much hope. All right, Kenny Curlins on Facebook says USC Lincoln Riley team will shock the Big Ten, and we'll see if the Trojans can get it done. All right, conference title game from the Big Ten. Who you got?
I have the Buckeyes over the Nittany Lions.
I have Oregon versus Penn State, and I have Oregon winning this league. Ohio State has to go to Penn State. I believe they also have to go to Oregon. They're going to lose both those games, and they are not going to make the championship game. There is your Big Ten preview. I've got 3 teams from the Big Ten making the college football playoff. We got to get a break in. We'll come back. We will preview the Big 12 and the ACC as well. Then we'll make our college football picks. We'll also tell you how East Carolina can make the college football playoff. This is Hoist the Colors on Friday, August 23rd.
We're down to the final days of our summer sales event at Greenville Toyota.
Lease new RAV4s, $319 a month. Test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage.
It's your last chance to save at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Dum-dum-dum. Get low, get low, get low. 369, ooh, she fine. Hoping she can sing it to me one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low.
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Hurry, the summer savings event is coming to an end. Don't miss your chance.
Enjoy your summer in a new Corolla for just $219 a month or a Highlander for only $399 a month. Got a trade? Get cash for it or trade for a new Toyota.
Hurry in to Greenville Toyota today.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo.
Drink up for me, Aussie Show Ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. It is a football Friday. Week 0 starts tomorrow. We just previewed the SEC. We just previewed the Big Ten. Now we're going to do the ACC and the Big 12. Philip Pilkington producing. We're doing our picks. We're trying to run through this. We're going to run through ECU scenario to the college football playoff. Can they make the playoff with one loss? We'll discuss that towards the end of the show. We got some comments on Facebook about that as well. All right, let's dive into the ACC. Of course, you've got Stanford and Cal joining the league. So you now have... Is it 16 teams, I believe?
Is
Phillip?
it 16 or is it 8? I think it's 16.
Let's see,
Yeah, because they were at
4,
14.
5,
yeah,
6,
they have 15 in the conference basketball tournament. Notre Dame doesn't play football.
16.
So
Or
16.
17.
Oh, wait, 17 because of SMU.
Yeah, that's right. SMU.
Oh, my goodness.
Stanford and Cal. So excuse me. All right, let's do it. Player that has your attention from the Atlantic Coast Conference or whatever it's called now because it's not really on the Atlantic Coast. Philip.
In the All Coast Conference,
There you go.
I have DJ Ugalungale. Because he's going back to the ACC where he struggles to start at Clemson. And look, Florida State's got a lot to live up to. He's going to be there. He's at Florida State, right? Is he at Miami? I'm drawing a blank. I ain't right down what team he plays for now.
DJU?
Yeah.
He's at Florida State.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. He's there. And look, this is a team who thinks they're still going to be a championship contender like they were last year going undefeated in the regular season. And it's going to come down to his play, I think. So I think he's one of the more, his play is going to determine a lot of things about this conference.
I'm going to go with KC Concepcion from NC State. Dynamic player, had more than 300 yards rushing last year, also 840 yards receiving. He did this as a freshman, and he got paid a lot of money to stay there. He's going to be really good. He's a lot of fun to watch, so give me KC Concepcion for the Wolfpack. Last place team, who you got?
It's hard enough to recruit in California, and now you got to tell your team they got to go across the country, and you have the academic craziness that Stanford has, putting the Cardinal last place.
I have Stanford as well. I'm looking at Phil Steele. He has Duke projected last along with Stanford. I don't think Duke's going to be that bad. Stanford, they're going to be underdogs in probably at least 10 or 11 games. The only game they should absolutely win is Cal Poly. Outside of that, they may not win. They do have 18 returning starters, but I just don't see it. Random team you're looking forward to watching?
I'm going to do SMU. First time getting up into a Power 4 conference, whatever the heck it is, and they're projected middle of the league. It's going to be interesting to see. This is always a high-powered offense, and I think they can hang in the ACC.
I've got the Mustangs as well. Preston Stone back at quarterback. A lot of talent returning on offense, especially at the skill positions. Rhett Lashley is a good offensive coach. I don't love him as an overall coach, but look, SMU can buy talent. They have oil money. They're rich. They have bought talent. They've retained talent. And don't be surprised if the Mustangs going to the ACC make some noise this year. Dark horse title contender, who you got?
I'm going to get stoned when I walk out of the radio station for this one. But if Mac Brown can bounce back after what is going to be a November the 2nd loss in Tallahassee, the Tar Heels do not have a very tough schedule this year. They could easily make the conference title game. So, North Carolina.
I'm going to go with another team that ECU fans don't like these days, Virginia Tech. I look at their schedule. They've got a tough game against Miami on the road to begin ACC play. But then after that, it is very manageable. They go to Stanford, which we just talked about. Stanford's not very good, but still you got to travel across the country. They get Boston College, Georgia Tech at home. They go to Syracuse. They do get Clemson at home in a big game. And they go to Duke and take on Virginia. If they can win Clemson or Miami, win one of those games, I think they can easily compete and win the ACC championship. All right, conference title game. Who you got?
I have Clemson and Florida State as a rematch from October the 5th when the Noles will win at home, and I have the Tigers getting them back in Charlotte and claiming the ACC title.
I have got Clemson missing the ACC championship game. I have them losing at Florida State, and I have them losing at Virginia Tech. I have got Florida State taking on the NC State Wolfpack in the championship game.
Wow.
NC State goes to Clemson, and then after that, the only thing that makes me nervous here is they close at Georgia Tech, at North Carolina. So I could easily see them being in contention, in line, and then losing one of those games. But I have NC State making the title game and taking on Florida State. I do have Florida State beating NC State, and I have NC State just missing the college football playoff.
Interesting. No love for the U on this from either one of us. The U could be solid. We talked about it before the show.
Yeah,
this is a team that if everything comes together, they have the talent. 5 first-team all-conference players, kind of 4 because one of them was their kicker. But this is a team, if everything gets to going, they could be a championship contender, but they could very easily be 6-6.
Cam Ward transferring over, very good quarterback from Washington State, but you got to show it to me, Miami. I'll just say that. I mean, the U is not back. It's kind of like Texas for me. I know Texas actually was back last year, made the playoff. The U isn't back until I see it. I'll just say that. All right, so I have Florida State winning the championship, and you have Clemson winning the championship. All right. Let's move on to our final conference preview, the Big 12. And, again, you've got several changes here with the Big 12. Teams moving in, teams moving out. And you've got Utah going in. You also have Arizona and Colorado. And Arizona State. There you go. So those teams are going into the Big 12. Who do you have as your player that has your attention from the Big 12?
This is going to be a cop-out answer, but it's going to be Cam Rising. Look, Utah would have been a championship contender last year, at least a playoff contender, had he not missed the entire season. He's going to come back. This kid's been in college forever. I think he's like 24 years old. So I'm going to go the quarterback of the Utes, Cam Rising.
Cam Rising was initially on my list, and then I remembered that I watched Kansas State play in their bowl game last year, and Avery Johnson, their quarterback, was a beast. He almost reminded me of like Trevor Lawrence. He had the flow going. He could run around. He could throw it all over the field. A lot of people are high on Kansas State this year, and he's a big reason why. So I am tuned in on Avery Johnson, the quarterback for the Wildcats.
I like that because they have a darn good running game, too. They're a very dangerous offense. Watch out for the Wildcats.
Yeah, they're kind of a sneaky playoff pick by a lot of people, and Johnson will have to live up to those expectations to make it happen. Last place in the Big 12, who does Philip Pilkington have?
Arizona State.
Colorado, show me something, Deion. You guys know, if you listened to the show last year, that I am not a fan of Deion Sanders, and the coach. The player was awesome. Deion's got to show me something this year, man. A lot of hype last year. Whole lot of hype, Philip, only to go – whatever they went.
Yeah.
3 wins, I think?
No, they went more than that. I think it was 4 or 5.
4 wins? All I know is I guaranteed they wouldn't make a bowl game. I got laughed out by Joe, and they went 4-8.
I can't pick Colorado because I still have to go back to the state of Colorado this year and see some family that lives in Colorado. Even though I have family that went to Arizona State, too, I don't have to see them for the rest of the calendar year. So I can pick Arizona State to be last.
Arizona State's a good, probably a much safer pick. By the way, Colorado, I am a huge fan of their receivers. Jimmy Horn, LeJontay Wester, transfer from FAU.
Is that Joe Horn's kid, Jimmy Horn? Do you know?
I think they are unrelated because he transferred from USF.
Okay.
So they got a couple of Florida transfers. Obviously, Sanders back at quarterback, and then Travis Hunter does his thing. So we'll see. All right, random team. Who you got?
I'm going to go with the team that's picked to finish last. I'm going to take by the conference projection. I'm going to take the Houston Cougars. First year under Willie Fritz. I don't see Willie Fritz having a bad year. Obviously, he had the 1 year they wwent 2-10, but Pratt should have never even been playing that year. He was so banged up. I think Houston's going to be competitive in a lot of games. Not saying they're going to win a lot, but I really like Willie Fritz, so I'm going to go with the Cougars.
They were on my list as well. I had a couple. The Big 12 just seems to have like a bunch of random teams who could be kind of fun to follow. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bearcats, another former AAC team. Joey McGuire going into his third year there. They've been solid the last few years, 8-5 and 7-6, and they've got a good amount returning offensively. I feel like this could be a breakthrough year for the Bearcats, but stay tuned. They are my random team to follow in Cincinnati. All right, dark horse title contender from the Big 12.
I'm going to go with West Virginia. This is a team that's picked to finish last in the conference last year. They ended up with 9 wins. They're returning their quarterback. They're starting running backs. Now, however, what worries me, they do have a bit of a tough schedule. They've got to go to Oklahoma State. They've got to go to Arizona, and they host both Kansas and Kansas State. All those 4 teams I mentioned, preseason top 25 teams. So that worries me a little bit, but I just think West Virginia, man, like you said, it's kind of one of those random conferences. There's not a team that's a lot better than everybody else, and I think there's a lot of open doors in this conference.
My dark horse title contender, I do like West Virginia. I do have a different one, though. I'm going with the Iowa State Cyclones. It just feels like every time you forget that Iowa State exists, they end up being really good in football. Part of that is
they go 10-2.
Yeah, Matt Campbell is a heck of a coach, and I feel like they're due for one of those years. I think this is one of those years they have their quarterback back. They return 19 starters. They've got a decent schedule. They do have to go to West Virginia, Kansas, and Utah, which scare me a little bit, but I think Iowa State, sneaky, keep an eye on the Cyclones. They could make something happen in the Big 12. All right, conference title game. Who you got?
I guess we're going to have the same teams but opposite champions. I'm going to go with Utah over Kansas State.
Close. I'm going Utah against Oklahoma State.
Wow, you're not picking Kansas State.
I do like Avery Johnson, but I think this is Oklahoma State's year as well with Mike Gundy. It just feels like he's due to win one. I've got Oklahoma State beating Utah in the conference championship game.
Wow.
And making the college football playoff. So there's our picks for the Big 12, the ACC, Big 10, and SEC. When we come back, we're going to give you our 12-team projected playoff. We've now picked the champion of every conference. We'll see if we remember what each champion we picked. Probably something we project is not going to line up with our original picks, but that's how it goes. This is why we do it in the preseason. We'll have that. We'll also have ECU's path to the college football playoff. How do the Pirates make the first ever 12-team playoff? We'll discuss that and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color. not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut and color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
This is ECU head football coach Mike Houston, and you're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, 8 days away from East Carolina kicking off. It's season against Norfolk State. The Spartans will be in town on August 31st. The Spartans actually open their college football season tomorrow. They take on Florida A&M. That will be a night kickoff, I believe, on ABC.
Is that in the Georgia Dome, maybe?
That is a great question.
I feel like that's like, because you know they have like the HBCU bowl game. I feel
Yep.
like that's like the HBCU like kickoff game or something or another.
So,
I might be like just making stuff up and dreaming out of my rear end.
You're close.
Okay.
So this is the MEAC SWAC Challenge kickoff presented by Cricket, and it is in Atlanta, but it's in Center Park Stadium.
Where's that?
Where is the old Turner Field.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it had a new name.
So that is where the Georgia State Panthers play now. And so, yeah, it will be in Atlanta, and it will be a national broadcast, ABC. 7:30 kickoff if you want to get an early look at ECU's first opponent tomorrow night. All right, Kenny Curlins, he's got some words for ECU. We'll read that in a minute for ECU as far as making the playoff. And he says Clemson all the way in the ACC. So should we unveil our 12-team bracket? We just ran through all of our champions. You want to go first?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
You want us to go 1 through 12?
You could go bracket, how you lay it off, or you could just lay it out, or you could just name them all.
Okay.
Whichever way you want to go.
Yeah, so I got the SEC champion Georgia at 1. I've got, let me put the laptop over here so it looks a little better and I'm not turned around. Sorry, guys. I've got the Buckeyes as my 2. I have Utah out of the Big 12 as my 3. Clemson at 4. So those being my automatic qualifiers. Despite a new head coach, I'm still going Bama at 5. Penn State at 6, Texas at 7, the U at 8, Notre Dame at 9, the Noles at 10. Wow, I got a lot of faith in the ACC. Full disclosure, I put this together in like 45 seconds this morning.
I thought we were both out on the U.
Well, I guess I'm not. And I got Kansas State at 11, and I have my Group of 5 champion Boise State at 12. I know a lot of ECU fans won't like that, but if you remember, I picked Tulane to win the American. They have a very tough out-of-conference schedule, so I think they're just going to have too many losses to get that bid now. Boise does have to go to Oregon, so that'll probably be a loss for them, but overall I think they come with a better record. We saw last year they like teams with good records as they put crappy Liberty in there who got slaughtered by 40.
So we've got several differences. I've got 4 teams from the SEC making it, neither of which are Alabama or Texas.
Wow.
I also have Ohio State way down the pecking order, and I'll just run through it here. I've got my first 4 automatic qualifiers. Georgia is my 1, Oregon is 2, Florida State winning the ACC is 3, Oklahoma State, the 4 seed, winning the Big 12. Again, your top 4 conference champions get the bye. So I don't think Oklahoma State's going to be a top 4 team, but I think they'll be the lowest ranked Power 4. I
don't think my 3 or my 4 is going to be in the top 4 in the country.
So I mean, realistically, we can get in the scenario in a little bit. You could have the American champion run the table and get the first round bye. The College Football Playoff Committee will probably never let it happen, but it's possible. All right, so my 12-5 game, I have Liberty making the College Football Playoff because I just think their schedule is so weak. The only game I think they could lose is at App State or ECU. I mean, their schedule is just a joke. So
it's worse than it was last year, and it was the worst. Last year it was the worst in the country at 133. This year Kennesaw State got added, and now it's 134.
And I think the other group of 5 teams are just going to have too many losses. So I'm going Liberty. They take on Penn State as my 5 seed in the first round. The winner gets Oklahoma State in the second round. So I'm just going to run through kind of the bracket. My 8-9 game, I have Ole Miss as the 8 seed. I have Utah as the 9 seed. They would square off in the first round. The winner would take on Georgia in round number 2. My 11-6 game is Missouri, the 11 seed, LSU, the 6 seed, so an SEC matchup there. Florida State awaits the winner. And then I have 10th seeded Clemson. I have Clemson getting in despite not making the ACC title game. I think with their strength of schedule, I think they can still make it as an at-large even if they don't make the ACC title game, because I have them only with 2 losses in this scenario. And then I have Ohio State as the 7. So Clemson against Ohio State in the first round. Winner takes on Oregon. As much as we hate all the power stuff, Philip, it makes for some pretty exciting playoff matchups, I have to say.
It does.
It's hard to, as a football fan, hard to look away from that. So, again, that bracket will be awesome. And just see all the discussion we're going to have from really midseason on, and I guess starting early on with just what teams need to do to make the 12-team playoff and all the different scenarios. I mean, it's going to create all the controversy we heard last year about Florida State not making it due to their injury issues. We're going to have that conversation trickle down, and it's going to be a lot of fun leading to the latter part of the season.
Wait, who'd your 4 SECs end up being again?
So my 4 SECs were Georgia, Ole Miss, LSU, and Missouri.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going off the rails.
I don't think mine's going to be correct, but I think I got a better chance.
Hey, you
than
probably do,
Missouri
yeah.
and Liberty in there.
Hey, man, you got to go big. Go big.
Go big or go
Can't
home,
just
baby.
go Texas, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, what fun is that?
So I'm here to get them right. This is why I won the pick 'em last year and you didn't.
This is fair. Hey, I like to have fun. You like to be realistic. Speaking of having fun, how about we break down East Carolina's path to the college football playoff?
All
right. So I just kind of discussed, like, Liberty is a if you had to do the odds, and I haven't looked at the odds, but I imagine they're towards the top because they would have been in last year by the committee's logic. They were the Group of 5 representative in the major bowl games. And they've got such an easy schedule. So, like, their odds to make it, they've got a returning starting quarterback. They've got a returning starting running back who's a beast. All that. But the thing about ECU is they play Liberty. And they play one of the other favorites, App State, at home. So, like, as far-fetched as it seems coming off a 2-win season, Philip, there is a path there because basically if you want to be the best Group of 5 team, you want to have a schedule that allows you to do that, to prove it. And ECU honestly has that schedule. They don't play any Power 4 opponents. But if you're trying to just make the playoff, they almost have the perfect schedule.
Yeah, they kind of do. And what could really make this interesting is if East Carolina knocks off both Liberty and App, and then all 3 teams win their conference. Then the committee, with the exception of Boise State running the table and knocking off Oregon in Eugene, as well as winning the Mountain West, there's not really going to be an argument from Liberty or App to come in and say we're better than East Carolina if you lose head-to-head. And, the committee in the past has put a lot into the head-to-head. Now, obviously, what could be tough, though, is, say you win those or you lose one of those 2 games, right? So say maybe you go undefeated in the conference, you knock off UTSA on the 28th of September, and then you beat Houston or South Florida, or maybe even UTSA again there in December. But what happens if you do lose to Liberty or you do lose to App and you're 12-1? And maybe one of those 2 teams goes 12-1, but then they have the head-to-head, despite you probably having a tougher schedule because you knocked off UTSA and then a Tulane or a South Florida. So that makes this really, really tough. I think those are crucial games for East Carolina. I think if you lose those games, either one of those games, your only chance is if that team goes on to not win their conference championship.
So East Carolina, I mean, more likely than not, I would think you have to go 12-0. I mean, there's a way you could go 11-1 with the scenario you lay out. But I think if you go 11-1, your most likely scenario is winning both those games non-conference, maybe getting tripped up in conference play, but still coming back to win the conference championship. So let's say you go 12-1 with one conference loss. I think that puts you, and you beat Liberty and you beat App State. And at least Liberty goes on to win Conference USA, and probably App State at least makes the Sun Belt title game. Unless somebody from the Mountain West goes undefeated, I still think that's enough to get you in, right?
Yeah, I think it is. Especially, say you lose to UTSA at home, or you get tripped up at West Point. The committee will maybe forgive you for that. And what would even make it a little cooler, even though we would obviously like to host a conference championship game and win it in Dowdy-Ficklin, is if you end up going on the road to one of those places and coming out victorious, whether you go to Tulane against South Florida or UTSA. So I think that is a path at 11-1. But then again, you got to look, and like you said, there is that Mountain West factor. If Boise State were to go 11-1, and that one loss would be in Eugene, and your one loss is UTSA, and Oregon's also in the playoff, where does that come from? That could be tough. But at the end of the day, like you said, you probably do have to win both of those games. And if you lose one of those, it's going to be very tough this year. Because, again, we weren't good last year. And that's the thing. I think the committee, you start in the season with a little bit of a bias, as we saw a couple years ago when Cincinnati got to make the Final Four. They did that after being undefeated the previous year, as well as the year that they got put in the college football playoff.
Kenny Curlin says, guys, don't get me wrong. I keep hearing how this schedule is so weak after last season. How can the talking heads and fans keep saying that? I'm extremely excited about this team, but we got to go into every game as if we were playing a Power 4 team. We must put that chip back on the shoulder. Treat every game like a must-win because they are. Go Pirates, win the conference. I mean, at this point for ECU, every game is a playoff game. And, being real, we were talking a lot about App State and Liberty. Old Dominion scares me if I'm East Carolina. That is a tough game on the road. They play, I think, Virginia Tech at home the week after that game. They're going to need to win that game with how tough their schedule is from an ODU standpoint. They open at South Carolina. Then they take on ECU and Virginia Tech back-to-back weeks. So they're circling the ECU game saying, we need to win this game. If you're ECU, if you don't go into that game ready to roll, you're going to lose. And then all this talk stops and we start talking about how bad the team is again, or at least the fans do.
Yeah, and the thing is that, look, we're going to travel, right? We know that. There'll be plenty of Pirates there. But when we went there last time, I mean, it was the first game in their new stadium. They brought in a good crowd. It was a competitive football game. Luckily, the Pirates came out victorious. But I've seen us play ODU now, I think 3 times in my time here, maybe twice, and every game's been close. This is a team, regardless of kind of how good or bad one of the others are, they can always kind of get up for each other. And like you said, they don't want to start 0-3, and not saying they're going to lose down in Columbia or they're going to lose to the Hokies at home. But look, one's in the SEC and one of them is an ACC title contender, maybe a backdoor title contender, but they still are. So, we're their weak team,
Yep, and they're looking at the schedule saying that's an ECU team that went 2-10 last year. So, all right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll discuss if there's any way 2 Group of 5 teams can make the playoff together. We'll talk about that and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport. Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Football time! Set the tone. Kyle, tie your shoes, tie your shoes. Yeah, good job. Woo! Yeah!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild. When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Summer is here and Sawyer's Fun Park is having a toddler summer special. From 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, Sawyer's has a $10 2-hour unlimited pass for ages 2 to 4. That's one toddler and one parent for just $10 every weekday morning. Sawyer's Fun Park summer hours are Monday through Thursday from 10 to 8, Fridays and Saturdays from 10 to 9, and Sundays from 12 to 8. Book your tickets online at SawyersFunPark.com and beat the heat this summer at Sawyer's Fun Park.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
What's happening?
Tell me what's happening. Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, final segment here. It's been a fun show. We did our conference previews for the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and SEC. And then, of course, we've done the American, Sun Belt, Conference USA, Mountain West, and MAC previously. So we put together our 12-team playoff. We each have one team outside of the Power Four making the playoff. I've got Liberty due to their schedule. Philip has Boise State. Could we see a scenario, Philip, where two teams from those conferences make the playoffs? I mean, I feel like it's possible. Is it likely? Of course not. But we'd have to probably go back through the polls all the time and see how many times do two of those teams make the top 12 in the final poll to kind of see would it even be possible in history. I know you brought up a scenario earlier.
Yeah, so I think it was 2010, 2011, Boise State and TCU were both in the Mountain West, I think. It was the year before TCU jumped ship, and they ended up actually playing each other in the Fiesta Bowl. So it was obviously the famous year that Boise beat Oklahoma. But so it's happened where teams have finished in the top 12, and I think it is possible. I do not think it's possible this year. I just think there's not a team that's preseason high enough. But if you look at, for example, that Cincinnati team from a couple years back, if where they were already had the respect on their name going into the season, being preseason top 10. If you have two teams that go into the season like that, or maybe a team that goes in like that and then goes 12-0 and then gets beat in their conference championship game, but they still say number 8, number 9, because maybe they played a tough out-of-conference schedule and just slipped up in the conference title game, they could stay in, and then that would automatically put another group of 5 champion in. And then, like I said, it's just there's two teams that are really good at the beginning of the year, both run the table. I mean, I think if there's two undefeated teams, it's going to be hard to keep them out. It's maybe a little different when it's a Liberty situation. Obviously, they were like 22 or something last year when they got in. They just got in because they were the lowest or the highest seeded or highest ranked champion. So not this year, but I think there's a possibility. It's going to have to be at least 1 year down the road, though.
Yeah, you brought up the scenario 2009, TCU, Boise State, both undefeated. TCU was number 3. And Boise State was number 6, and TCU fell 17-10 in the Fiesta Bowl.
I think they were both in. Maybe Boise was still in the WAC and TCU was in the Mountain West.
I believe that's what it was. Yep, Mountain West, TCU was in because they played all these teams from the Mountain West. I'm looking at their schedule now, and Boise trying to pull up their schedule. So yeah, there's a scenario. I mean, essentially you'd have to have two more than likely undefeated teams, or like let's say undefeated dominant Liberty, and then maybe a 12-1 Tulane or American team, or even a 12-1 Boise State. Certainly, I think if you get two undefeated teams, let's say Boise State and Memphis both go unbeaten this season. I mean, they'd be 14-0, 13-0, whatever the record would be. It'd be tough to keep both of them out because they don't play each other. Yeah. Certainly Boise State would have a win over Oregon. But just throwing out a scenario here, like it is possible. It would just probably take a really good non-conference with one loss for one of those teams or just two undefeated teams. Yeah. So there's your scenario.
I didn't think about Memphis. What is their schedule? Because I counted them out because they have a tough conference schedule.
They play Florida State on the road.
Okay.
In non-conference. So
yeah, I keep forgetting about Memphis. I think. Yeah.
But they also have a tough league game.
Exactly. They have a handful of tough league games, so I didn't pick them to make the championship. But if they are successful in said games, and they do win the championship.
Colton Miller, I know we got a few seconds left, says ECU can't get in with the schedule. They would need the other mid-major teams to lose 2 to 3 games. I disagree, Colton. Certainly if there was another, let's say Boise went undefeated with their schedule, it'd be tough. But if ECU wins the American and goes unbeaten and beats Liberty and App, I think they've got a shot.
I mean, Liberty had the easiest schedule in the country last year.
They were
the 12th team. Now, you're right that everybody else would at least lose one, but 2 or 3, I mean, heck, Tulane only lost. That was one game last year?
He lost 2.
Okay, 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely one. But all right, we got to get out of here. This has been fun. By the time we talk to you next Monday for Hoist the Colors, it'll be game week. Can't wait. Enjoy week 0. We will talk to you Monday. We got John Gilbert on Monday's show.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back Monday with more of